Our reading today, our gospel, is from the Gospel according to Luke. And in the second half of the Gospel according to Luke, Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem. That's how the whole second half of the Gospel is structured. He's traveling from north to the south towards Jerusalem, where he will meet his final destiny in Holy Week. And he is teaching his disciples and the crowds that come out to meet him as he goes. Now, in this second half of Luke, there are three sections of teaching where he talks specifically about how following him means having a different way of dealing with your possessions or wealth or money. Two of the places are probably a lot more familiar to us than the one we had today. There's the parable of the rich fool who builds great barns for his wealth but then immediately dies. We also have the story of, or the account of the rich young ruler that comes to Jesus and asks what he must do to follow him. And Jesus says, you have to sell your possessions and give them to the poor. And he goes away sad because he's wealthy. And Jesus says it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. But in between these two more well-known passages, perhaps, is our gospel today. Our gospel today is often called the parable of the dishonest manager. And if you were reading through this passage and had a hard time figuring out what was going on, you're not alone. This is one of the more difficult parables, difficult biblical passages to understand. So I'll give it a shot and try to help. So there are three kind of figures, three parties in this parable, this story that Jesus tells. And they're kind of ordered from top to bottom. At the top, there is this rich man, a lord, that owns a bunch of land. Then at the bottom are his tenants. There are people, farmers probably, that are renting that land. And they owe rent. They owe a debt to the Lord, usually in something from their farms, whether that's grain or olive oil or whatever they're producing on their farms. Now, in between the two, there is a manager, middle management, nothing new. The manager is there, and he is the one who collects the debt, the rent that is owed from the tenants, and gives it to the owner. All right, that's the setup. Now, the beginning of the story is the owner calls the manager for a meeting. And the manager has got a bad feeling about this meeting. This is a I'm going to get fired kind of meeting. Because it seems like the manager hasn't been doing his job, hasn't been gathering the rent to give to the owner. So the owner says, bring in your account books. Let's see how much is owed to me. I'm not getting any money. I'm not getting anything that I'm owed. And that's going to be the reason that the owner is going to fire the manager. Now, what we would expect for the manager to do is to rush out and collect money and try to get the owner all of his money, to try to get the owner, the Lord, to think better of him, to save his job. That's what we expect. Now, this is a parable, and parables usually work about twisting. They have a twist, a surprise, that takes something familiar and then shows it in a different way of thinking. And there's a couple twists in this story. The first twist is what the manager does. He sees that he's about to get fired, and he says, well, if I'm going to get fired, that means I'm going to be homeless and destitute. And then the idea that he has is, I've decided what to do so that when I am dismissed as a manager, the people, the renters, the debtors, the people on the bottom will like me. They'll welcome me into their homes. I won't have a hope anymore. Maybe they'll give me a place to live. So he's not going to try to get on the good side of the guy above him. He's going to try to get on the good side of the people below him. And so what he does to do this, which is kind of strange, it seems, is that he declares a fire sale on rent. He basically slashes what the people owe. He rewrites their contracts. Think of someone coming to you, and if you pay rent or a mortgage, saying, hey, I'm going to cut your mortgage in half. And he actually had the power to do that. And the idea is that he wanted those who were beneath him to think well of him, so that with him helping them out, that they would help him out, because he's going to be in need in the near future because he's about to get fired. Then comes the second twist, that when the manager comes to the owner, the Lord, the rich man, after the manager has basically ripped him off, that's why it's called the parable of the dishonest manager, what the owner then does is he commends him. He says, that was really smart. That was shrewd. So the manager gets on the good side of the people below him, but also, strangely enough, gets on the good side of the one above him. And this is supposed to be an odd situation, an odd, unexpected situation. And at the end of this parable, Jesus says, I tell you, kind of giving the point of the parable, he says, I tell you, make friends for yourselves by means of dishonest wealth, so that when it is gone, they may welcome you into the eternal homes. Now, him summing up the point, this doesn't seem to be terribly summed up and easy to understand, so I'll try to explain a little bit more. What this is doing, this is taking a very common human practice, an exchange, a quid pro quo, where you give someone something, like money, so that they will do something for you in the future, or they will like you in the future. You scratch my back, I'll scratch your back, you scratch my back kind of situation. It makes me think of, mafia movies where the mafioso comes to someone and says, I'm going to give you a gift. And you think, oh, that gift comes with strings. Or I'm going to do you a favor. Would you like to be my friend? Right? And someday I will call upon you to do a service for me. Right now. So it's like, oh, this is a gift, but it comes with an obligation. Okay, so I've given you something, but the idea is that you will then owe me. So there's two parties here, right? You and the other person. The person that gives the gift and the person that returns the gift. It's a little economy, right? A little trade. The difference here with what Jesus is saying is it says to do something strange. He says use mammon, use dishonest wealth to make friends with those below you who really can't give you much. So you will be welcomed not into the homes of the poor, which is the thing in the parable, but into the eternal homes. Just kind of what happens at the end of the parable. He is welcomed and gets good things from the Lord, not what he expected. So this is a strange economy, a breaking of our earthly economy. And Jesus is well aware of it. He explicitly says that this is a different way of dealing with things that we find really valuable, our wealth, our possessions, our glory, our people thinking well of us. This is different than the rest of the world, than, as he calls them, children of this age or of this generation. The normal way of doing things, as our prophet Amos says today, in another kind of confusing passage, is that people say, make the ephah small and the shekel great. The ephah is a measure. These are like merchants. They make the measure. An ephah is a measure of grain. Make that small. Make what you're giving to someone small, and make the shekel, what you're getting from them, great. Right? That's good business. Get more out of it than you're putting into it. Okay? Give to others as little as possible, as little as you can get away with, and get from them as much as you can get away with and have them still do business with you. So again, here's two parties, you and the other person. You give to the other, you put them in your debt in some way, and you make them owe you to get something back in return. Hopefully they're going to scratch your back more than you scratched theirs. That's the idea. Now, by the children of this generation, Jesus doesn't mean baby boomers or millennials or whatever, but he is talking about how his way of looking at things, his kingdom, his lordship, is a different kind of thing. It works differently. The way of the world, the way the world is now, the present age, is different than the age that is to come, the kingdom that is coming, that we are children of light. This is dawning and breaking in, and that we are being liberated from the power of this present age by Jesus, the Messiah, Jesus, the conqueror, the one who is to come, who is coming into this world and breaking into this world. So what Jesus does is he brings in a third party into this relationship between us and the other person, the one above us, God. He says, you give what you have to another, not so much to get something out of them, but the return that you get is not from them. The investment that you're making is not in them, but it is from above. That you're investing not so much in your relationship with them, in your future with them. How much future can you get out of a poor person? But in your relationship with God. That you will invest in people around you, but not to get something out of them, but to be welcomed instead into the eternal homes, the eternal habitations. Your treasure in heaven. So that's what Jesus is saying at the end. To summarize this, there was a missionary in the 50s named Jim Elliot, who was a missionary to the native peoples in Ecuador. He was martyred there. And in his journals, he comments on this odd passage that we've been looking at in Luke. And his summary of this passage is this. He says, he is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose. He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep, your money, your possessions that is here today and gone tomorrow, if not gone tomorrow, gone when you die. He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose. By being generous to those in need, we are investing in our relationship with God, storing up treasures in heaven. And to keep us from thinking of this purely in a future kind of way, that this is all about what happens after we die, what's happening here is that we are changing in the present. In our generosity towards others, and our not using them to get something out of them, we are becoming a different kind of people. We are investing in our relationship with God. We are becoming like him. We are becoming, as Jesus says, children of light. We are becoming more and more like our Father. Because God gives to us, not to get something out of us. He doesn't need anything from us, but he gives to us for our own good. Gives true gifts. And indeed, his greatest gift to us is our becoming his children. He gives us this gift in enabling us to give gifts like he does. that makes any sense. That through Christ, he is helping us to become more like him, to become God's children, to become children of light, children with a home, an eternal home, a home not made with hands, but eternal in the heavens, something that we don't have to scramble to secure, to manipulate other people to get, but that we are always already secure in what God is giving us. Let us then become children of God. Let us be generous as he is. For behold, what manner of love the Father has given unto us, that we should be called children of God. Amen.